Y'all didn't even really believe that. One more time. Woo, woo! Yeah, so much better. Thank you again, Ingracia and Christine, for sharing your stories. Right now, what we're going to have, it's very important that we start this off right. So we have invited a very esteemed reverend here to kick off the event with a brief word of prayer for us. I don't know, do people usually clap and applause right before prayer? Sure, why not, right? Yeah, come on, North Carolina, let's make some noise for the illustrious Reverend Barbara. Yes. Thank you all for the enthusiasm. Thank you for the patience. Thank you for just showing up and showing out today. We really appreciate you. This event could not be possible without you showing up and to all the lovely people who helped organize. And thank you, sis, for signing over here. Hey, guess what? We would like the people in the back to move up closer so that you guys can be closer to us. There's a lot of seats up here that you can sit in. So just don't sit on one this time, but we'll give you a few seconds to come up. And there's AC up here. There's not, but by the time you get up here, it's gonna be too late. So you might as well just move on forward, okay? Hey, North Carolina. Yes. Yes, all the way from the back, I see all those yellow shirts. Move on up so you can be close. That's right, just come on up. There's seats right here in front. I don't see y'all moving. What happened, y'all too hot? You were like, I already got seated and I'm just gonna melt right here in this chair. We need some mops and buckets in the back. All right. Here we are. Thank you again. Thank you so much. If you want to come closer throughout, feel free to come up front. And one more time, a big round of applause for Reverend Barbara.
It's good to see all of my brothers and sisters. Let me see, is SEIU here? Is Caring Across Generations here? Is Care Can't Wait here? And is the National Domestic Alliance Workers here? They've asked me today if I would lead in a reflection and a prayer. As we in this nation now, we may not be under the same banner, but we need to be fighting the same battles. And we need to make sure we don't allow people to separate us. The same people who are fighting against caregivers, are fighting against living wages, are the same people fighting against fully funding public education, are the same people fighting against living wages, same people fighting against health care for all, the same people fighting against climate justice, Keith, the same people fighting against the LGBTQ community, the same people fighting against women, and the same people fighting against voting rights, and the same people that are comfortable with poor and low wealth, 8 million people more people falling into poverty and low wealth during the pandemic, while billionaires made nearly $2 trillion. And my one word to all of us is we might have our silos sometimes, but it's time for our silos to come together. Because if they are cynical enough to be together, we ought to be smart enough to come together. And they know if we come together, we can reshape this entire democracy. Understand that what you are seeing now, all of the suppression and the filibuster and 2 senators, even Democratic, using the filibuster to block progress, is fear. It is the fear of you It is the fear of all of us getting together. Because if we all get together, the care workers, Poor People's Campaign, labor, if we all get together, we actually have the power to change things. So here's the meditation. The Bible says, he or she that is greatest among you should be your servant. Caregivers are servants. The Bible says in Isaiah, we must loose the chains of wickedness. And in Hebrew, the chains of wickedness is interpreted, we must loose the chains that refuse to pay people what they deserve. Another scripture in Isaiah says, stop robbing the poor of their rights and making women and children their prey. And one other scripture says, the laborer, might I say the caregiver, is worthy of their hire. The caregiver is worthy of her or his hire. Caregivers deserve love and respect, not a lack of living wages. Can I get an amen? Caregivers don't need to just be called essential workers. They need this country to stop treating them as expendable workers. Caregivers need union rights, not a denial of rights. The truth of the matter is, caregivers were the first to have to go to work during the pandemic, the first to get infected, the first to get sick, the first to get hospitalized, and the first to die. Now caregivers ought to be the first to get lifted, the first to get living wages, and the first to be treated right. You have taken care of America. Now it's time for America to take care of you. Caregivers don't need a Senate filibuster blocking living wages. Instead, caregivers need $15 and some more. Not just 15, that's the baseline. Caregivers need expanded voting rights and more opportunity to vote. And caregivers don't need a denial and a suppression of voting rights. Caregivers care for us, and it's high time and past time that this nation cares for you. And so we must stand together as caregivers, because he or she that is greatest among you is your servant. We must collectively stand together against those who want to take sick leave, those who want to undermine union rights, those who want to undermine living wages and health care. We need caregivers to be taken seriously, and we need to shut down the takers. We need to lift up the givers and shut down the takers. And if I wasn't a Christian, I'd say we need to raise hell. But since I'm a Christian, I'll say we need to raise heaven and get hell on the run. So let us pray. Oh, gracious God, and all that is holy in the universe, today we remember those who died giving care. We remember those who died because they cared so much they wouldn't stay home. They risked their lives in the midst of this pandemic. Those who before the pandemic were merely called service workers. But during the pandemic, the nation found out they were really essential workers. But we remember those that died that didn't have to die if this nation had done right. and protected them. So we mourn their deaths. We cry over their loss. But we cannot merely mourn and cry. We must act in their remembrance. And so in their remembrance, oh gracious God, grant us the resiliency to keep fighting. To fight for justice, to fight for sick leave, to fight for right unemployment, to fight for union rights, to fight for voting rights, to fight for the kind of wages that respect the kind of care that these caregivers give. Give us the resilience. Let the tears that we shed be buoyancy and lift us up. Everything that has happened to the caregivers, instead of it stopping us, oh God, let it embolden and intensify our agitation to turn this nation from a taking nation to a caring nation. And lastly, oh God, not only enable us to remember and not only grant us resilience, but for all of those I'm looking at physically and all of those that are looking at us on social media who have come through the storm. And the storm is not yet over. For all those who have come through the pandemic and they're hurting, they're tired, they are broken, they've seen too much death that all of their care in the world couldn't stop. We ask you now, Holy One, restore them. Restore them. Restore them. Restore their minds. Restore their spirits. Restore their strength. Yes, God, restore our mental health. Because we've literally seen craziness and been through crazy times. And we've had to deal with crazy politicians that would rather put people on a Supreme Court than keep people out of caskets. But we still here, God. And you've kept us in the midst of all of it. Now restore us so that after the pandemic, we will be a greater force for the reconstruction of this nation than we were even before the pandemic. Restore us, oh God, so that this pain will not be wasted. But instead of the pain killing us, the pain will end up making us alive and giving us more power to fight than we ever had before the pain. Oh God, restore us now that we might continue to give care and to fight. Amen.
One more time for Reverend Barber. Thank you. Y'all didn't have energy before, but the Reverend came and put it right into you, didn't he? Look at you. I love it. One more time for Reverend Barber. Thank you so much. Crowd, today you're going to hear a couple of important phrases that I think that we should define together just to make sure that we are all on the same page. One of those things is the Biden Build Back Better plan. Some of you have heard of it. That's a groundbreaking plan to create jobs, provide care, increase infrastructure, and tackle climate change. Another term that we should identify today is the Better Care, Better Jobs Act. That's what we're talking about today, which will increase funding to home and community-based services. And that's the program that facilitates home care through Medicare. Our next speaker is going to talk about this. She is an award-winning organizer, an author, and a leading voice in the progressive movement. She is the director of National Domestic Workers Alliance and Caring Across Generations. Put your hands together for Agent Boo.
Hello, everybody. caregivers out there? Are there any care workers out there? Is there anyone out there who relies on care? I thought so. I thought I was in the right place. How's everybody feeling? Good and hot. I feel good too, and powerful. We have been in a pandemic for more than a year. And not only did we survive that crisis, but we have come together from across this country for one single reason: to fight for care. Most of us caregivers, we're usually fighting to care for our clients or fighting to care for the people we love without any support, struggling to afford and manage the care we need, struggling to make ends meet on poverty wages without paid leave as a care worker. It's an everyday fight to live, work, and care with dignity in America. But today, we are not fighting to care. We are fighting for care. And I believe that we will win. We are fighting for child care. We are fighting for paid family and medical leave. We are fighting for home and community-based services and care for older people and people with disabilities. We are fighting for good jobs with living wages and a union for care workers. It's the kind of change that will go down in history. Our kids, they will be reading about you and about today in the history books. You are making history today. Just like history was made in the 1930s when Congress passed the New Deal and put our labor laws in place, it was a moment that changed the course of history for workers. But there was a problem. Domestic workers, like home care workers, were excluded because of racism, anti-Black racism. Southern members of Congress did not want Black workers to have equal protections, and they won that battle. But not this time. Not only are we going to be included, we are going to put our care agenda at the forefront of this New Deal moment, so that every family can care for the people that we love, including the families of care workers. Today is historic for another reason. We're standing in a plaza known as Freedom Plaza. And today we are unveiling a groundbreaking art installation called Communities of Care. Art that makes our caregiving visible to all who pass by. It will challenge people to see us, to see our faces, to see the way that we care, to see the value of those relationships. And it will tell the story of how care is central to realizing the promise of freedom in America. It's right on time because right down the street, members of Congress are deciding how much they want to invest in care, whether care is essential. And we are here to tell them that we are essential. Just like we need roads and bridges to get to work, we need care to get to work, and we need care to live well with dignity. Now I want to do a few shout outs to my people. A lot of work went into gathering us today on this historic occasion, and I want to recognize everyone at Caring Across Generations. Let's give them a shout out. Our decade of work is finally paying off. Shout out to the members of the National Domestic Workers Alliance. Let me hear you, NDWA members. Shout out to the members of Hand in in Hand Domestic Employers Association. And huge shout out to all of our partners at Care Can't Wait. We are fighting together for a strong care infrastructure, from childcare to paid family and medical leave to home and community-based services. It's all essential. And we've been really proud to partner with our partners at SEIU to fight for care, to make it essential. SEIU members, where are you? Our movement is growing in power, and we have partners in really powerful places, including a place called the White House, as you will hear later today. Thanks to all of you for helping us make history today. And now I have the great honor to introduce you to my friend, the brilliant artist and activist behind the incredible Communities of Care installation, Paula Mendoza. Let's give her a warm welcome, Paula Mendoza, everybody.
Hello, everyone. It is hot out there today. I know because I have been in this weather for 3 days installing the art installation. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for supporting care workers. Thank you for supporting those that are in need of care. And thank you for demanding that our care workers must and will receive fair wages, paid sick leave, and vacation, because how can they take care of us if they are not taking care of themselves? It is impossible to do. I'm an artist, and it is my pleasure and my honor to be able to hear the stories of people. People tell me their hopes, their dreams, their aspirations, their tragedies, their relationships. And in this case, I was able to interview 16 people. 16 people who had care relationships. Some were caregivers and some were care receivers. I was able to learn through those interviews the intimacy it takes to care for someone, the friendship and the deep bonds that are built between care workers and care receivers. It was eye-opening, and it also made me realize that we as a country don't understand how essential care work is. And we don't understand it because in the best of circumstances, people are being cared for in their homes, behind closed doors, with friends and families and care workers who love them. But this essential work is not necessarily out in the open to those that don't experience it yet. Because the reality is, and what I learned was, that we will all need care at some point in our lives. We will all need care. We will need care workers and caregivers in our lives at some point. And that is why it is essential. And this community, you all, make this country thrive. You make this country better. And as Reverend Barber said, it is because of that that we owe you, that we must restore you, that we must give you what you deserve. Because you, and as we say in Spanish, te lo mereces. Te lo mereces. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for the work that you are doing. I see you now, and I will never not see you again. If you have the opportunity, please go backstage, see the art installation, hear the stories of the people who shared their lives with me. They are beautiful and inspiring, and they will also teach you so much. Thank you, and care is essential, and it cannot wait. Care cannot wait.
One more time for Paula. And again for Aijin Poo. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Home care really is important work, and caring for our loved ones and ensuring that everyone is treated with dignity is tantamount, and that's why we're here today. The National Domestic Workers Alliance and SEIU's partner to create the care is essential. So together, they are working to win back 1 million jobs for home care workers, increase wages, better working conditions, and good union jobs. Here to talk about this is someone who knows about this very well. She is the International Executive Vice President of SEIU. She is an organizer, a leader, and she is here today. Please put your hands together for Valerie Long.
Thank you, Carrie. How's everybody doing? And I'm not going to say, is it hot? Because we know it's hot. But I will say, I'm hot about the way home care workers are treated in this country. I'm hot about that. Are you hot about that? I'm feeling you. My great-grandmother was taken care of by a home care worker for 12 years until her death. And God bless her. She has now passed on to glory as well. But I have so much gratefulness in the work that she did, the loving work and care she did for my great-grandmother in her end of days. We would not be a family without our home care workers. We would not be a family without people who have much selfless care and mercy for our elders, our disabled, our people who cannot take care of themselves. For God's sakes, why are we a country who will clap for them at 7 o'clock and call them essential, but not treat them as such? It's absolutely ridiculous, and I'm proud to be here with all of the coalition partners, proud to have followed that beautiful artist who did the installation, because we need art and love. Proud to be here with Ajahn Poo from the director of the Domestic Workers Alliance, a strong leader in this arena. Proud to be with my SEIU members, and I appreciate Reverend Barber speaking about spirituality, love, and the fact that we will win because God will bless us. But God will bless us because we fight. He respects fight, and we have a lot of fight in us. And against all odds, we've actually been winning some things. Against all odds, we've won better pay, protections, and a seat at the table for home care workers across the country. But as we all know, as Reverend Barber said, they try to separate us. And we won't win until we all win. We won't win until workers around this country win. And we won't stop until we win for all of us. We won't let, the Reverend Barber said backstage that people try to separate cockroaches, and he ain't gonna be no cockroach. And that stuck in my head. We're not gonna be separated. Today we're in the streets across this country to demand three simple demands: jobs, care, and justice. It's because of home care workers like those out in the audience that President Biden is stepping up and answering the call. You all spoke out, you all are marching, you all are making your voices heard, and we believe he has heard you. Doesn't mean we take the pedal off the metal, but we believe he's heard you. He made an investment in our care system, in the aging Americans and people with disabilities who depend on care, and in the care workers who do this essential work. That's why we're calling on Congress to pass Biden's $400 billion investment in home and community-based services. We need that passed. We need to make sure Congress passes. That plan covers three problems at one time. Excuse me. It means well over 1 million people will gain access to the care that they need. That's one. It creates 1 million new good union jobs in a workforce that's nearly 90% women and 60% people of color. And it boosts wages for the nation's existing care workforce. So those are the three things. Not only is it the right thing to do for our nation's economy, passing this plan will lift up women of every race and background: Black, white, Latina, Asian, indigenous, and immigrant. We need jobs, we need care, and we need justice. Care is an issue that affects all of us, no matter where we live or no matter where we're from. Care is a racial and gender justice issue. Home care workers are nearly, not all, but nearly all women, and the majority are people of color. It's long past time that they were respected, protected, and paid. Now I'm competing with a helicopter. Okay. Care is an immigration issue. 1 in 3 home care workers are immigrants, many of whom are demanding a path to citizenship for themselves and their families. And care is a climate issue, believe it or not. When climate disaster strikes, who's some of the first frontline workers who are there as first responders? Home care workers, stepping up and putting themselves on the line and to support and protect their customers. Excuse me, sorry about that. As we face unprecedented challenges as a nation and look to recover from the crisis of the last few years, we cannot stick to the status quo. We've got an opportunity to create the most racially diverse middle class we've ever seen. Thank you so much. And that's a good goal, because the majority of this country is going to be people of color, and we need to make sure that all people are created equally and that we can raise up the middle class and make sure that there's an economic incentive for a racially diverse middle class. And it's time for Congress to hear that, believe that, and to care for the care workers who care for this nation. So let me transition and introduce one of our Sheroes care workers for today. I'm going to be introducing Renee Bumbry Graves, a home care worker from Woodbridge, Virginia. Renee is an active member of her union, SEIU Virginia 512, where she serves on the executive board. Renee says that home care is her calling, and she can't see herself doing anything else. But as a direct care worker in Virginia, Renee makes just over $12 per hour with no paid sick leave, no vacation time, and no health insurance. And she knows home care workers in other parts of the country are paid much, much less, and too many of them don't have a right to a union. Renee knows home care workers deserve better, and she has dedicated her life to educating the public about the stark realities of this work. A self-described talker, Renee jumps on any opportunity to speak out on behalf of caregivers and care consumers around the country. She says home care comes up in almost every conversation that she has. We are here today because of people like Renee and the millions of care workers across the country who work tirelessly to change our world for the better. Renee, we are so honored to share this moment with you and witness your powerful testimony. Please join me in welcoming Renee Bumbry Graves.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Renee Bumbry Graves, and I am a home care worker from Woodbridge, Virginia. I am here today representing my union, SEIU Virginia 512, and the more than 2.4 million home care workers across the country. Joining me up here today are my granddaughters, Amara and Heaven. I am so proud of them for being out here with us, representing the youth of our nation and the next generation of voters, union members, and essential workers. I've been doing this work for more than 20 years. This is the life I chose, and I am honored to carry on the legacy of black women like me who have raised and sustained the life of our nation. But the truth is, home care jobs are some of the most unrespected, unprotected, and underpaid jobs in the country. Many of us don't have affordable health care, paid sick leave, time off, and no retirement plan. I can't believe that in 2021, I have to say this, but some of us still make as low as $7 an hour. It shouldn't be like this, and it doesn't have to. I'm blessed to not only be a member of my union, I'm also on the board of my union, SEIU Virginia 512. My sisters and brothers have united to dismantle the racist, sexist policies and win hazard pay, paid sick days, and 18.9% raise. After years of being inactive in the union, I went to the summit in Richmond, and I decided that my union fights for me, so I need to fight for them. And I need to fight for all the millions of home care workers who are still fighting for a union. I look out among this crowd and I think about the millions of people across the country taking action today. We come from all walks of life, all races and cultures, all lines of work, and all corners of the country. We are here, united, because we understand a simple truth. At some point in our lives, we will all depend on care to help us live. And when we need a strong, affordable, long-term care system carried by skilled, compassionate, dedicated home care workers to be there when that time comes. And here we are on Pennsylvania Avenue, just steps away from the most powerful offices in the land. Right up there is the White House, where our president has put forward a once-in-a-generation care plan. And down there is Capitol Hill, where our nation's senators and representatives are debating the future of our country. They are debating my future. They're debating my grandbaby's future. They're debating your future. Let me tell you something. There will be no future unless Congress, together across the aisle, to make a serious, immediate, and bold investment in care and care jobs. There is nothing to debate. Stop pushing back. Care is essential. I dream of a future for America where long-term care workers for all, and where care jobs are well-respected, well-protected, and well-paid. Sought-after union careers our country can be proud of, no matter where they live, where they are from, or the color of their skin. I want to share my union's tradition with you. I want everyone to repeat after me and say it loud so our voices echo all the way down this road and through the halls of Congress. Okay, are you ready? Here we go. We got to go. We got to fight. We got to win. One more time. We got to go. We got to fight. And we got to win. And I do believe that we will win. There's no other option. Care can't wait. Thank you.
One more time for Rena.
I'm sorry, honey.
It's Renee.
Oh, I can mess it up. It's the heat, y'all. Blame the heat, not my heart. Renee, thank you, grandbaby. One more time for Renee. All right. Next up, because we're talking about home care, when we talk about care, we're not just talking about, we're talking about creating a caring economy and a care infrastructure. So our next speaker knows all about that and is director of a growing national campaign to win inclusive paid family and medical leave for all. Please put your hands together for Dawn Hucklebridge.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. How you feeling? How you feeling? My name is Dawn Hucklebridge, and I'm the Director of Paid Leave for All, the national campaign representing dozens of organizations and tens of million people across this country fighting for paid family and medical leave for all. And we are a proud partner of Care Can't Wait. The pandemic exposed what has always been there, gaping holes in our care infrastructure. And standing in those gaps, holding us together, the undervalued labor of our country's caregivers, particularly women of color. And in this crisis, they have only done more. And they've done more with less. We've witnessed a public health crisis, a caregiving crisis, an economic crisis, more than 5 million women's jobs lost, and caregivers who have nonetheless risked their lives and carried us through. I think of our advocate leader, Chris Garcia in Denver, an essential worker, works for several Fortune 500 companies. When he was exposed to COVID and had to quarantine, he lost his job. I think about Tamika Henry in Las Vegas. Her entire family was struck with COVID. And when they had to quarantine, recover, and care for each other, she went a whole month without pay. But now, we have the historic opportunity to do something about it. We have the opportunity to truly build back better. I want to be clear. Is everyone listening? This is important. There is no lasting recovery, and there is no real rebuilding without care. Not without investing in our care economy, supporting our nation's caregivers with paid leave, childcare, good jobs, home and community-based services. Because one of the lessons that we must take from the last year is the importance of care for our health, our security, and our prosperity. Paid leave saves jobs, saves lives, and it is a tool for equity and for economic growth. It should be a given that you should not work and spread illness when you are sick and recovering, that you should never have to choose between your family and a paycheck. We cannot rebuild from a pandemic and remain one of the only countries in the entire world with no form of paid leave. And we know that passing care policies would make us more resilient, that they would help us grow. They would yield millions of jobs, billions in wages, and trillions in GDP. They would honor the people who've saved us, and they would also lift us all. And importantly, paid leave and other care policies would ensure that we can be there for the people we love. There is no more common sense or profound legacy that we can leave after this year that we've all shared. Because what we should have learned from the last year is that affording each other dignity and humanity is what will save us all. So today, in this country, we cannot remain one of the only countries without paid leave. We cannot remain one of the only countries with no care infrastructure. Every single one of us is going to need to give and receive care in our lifetimes. It shouldn't take a pandemic to remind us of that, but here we are. Paid leave, childcare, long-term care, the full Build Back Better agenda must be passed. All right, yeah, let's do it again. The Build Back Better agenda must be passed. We're at a tipping point in this country. We look to Congress, we look to all of our leaders to join us in making history and to do something transformational for every working family in this country. So, there's work to do, but you're here. Thank you. And it is also my honor to introduce one of these caregiving heroes, Alan Galleon from California. Alan has worked as a paid caregiver for over 13 years and is also a sandwich caregiver for his 90-year-old mother and 4-year-old son. Alan attributes his caregiving to his mother, who also worked as a paid caregiver to support their family. Based in Los Angeles, Alan has been advocating for the rights of domestic workers since 2018, is a leader at the Filipino Worker Center, and a Caring Across Generations Care Fellow. Thank you for all of that, and welcome, Alan.
There is time for everything. Sí se puede. Sí se puede. Sí se puede. And sí se puede. I take this moment to make public my deepest gratitude to Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg for her historic fights to knock down discrimination in this country, paving way to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Justice Ginsburg once said, "We will all profit from a more diverse, inclusive society understanding, accommodating, even celebrating our differences while pulling together for the common good. Today, in this Care Can't Wait Day of Action, we are collectively pulling together to continue the battle for both justice in labor and justice in aging by splicing our tireless spirits where the least shall be heard and walk with the greatest. Care work is so often overlooked and undervalued, even though it is some of the most important and precious jobs around. My mother, Pura Sherry Bloom, an immigrant worker from the Philippines, would have been most joyful if she had made it here to witness our communities of care art installation and get the recognition she deserves. The 40 years of back-breaking work she endured has resulted to health issues, making it uneasy for her to fly. I am Alan Gallion, a proud member of the Filipino Workers Center of Southern California and the National Domestic Workers Alliance, a caring across generations fellow and a domestic worker willfully sharing responsibilities in caring for the elders and the disabled in the comforts of their own homes, and faithfully shares responsibilities in bringing up the next generation. For over 13 years, I have worked as a home care worker and also have the great honor of caring for my 80-year-old mother and 5-year-old son in Los Angeles. My son, who I hope one day will look back and be proud of the work my mother and I have done, not just to support our family and our communities, but also to advocate for the rights of domestic workers. This opportune time is a great reminder to sustain our aspirations, fighting for care that is affordable, accessible, and equitable. This engagement will carry us through in magnifying over again that care is essential, care is universal, and that alongside we remember, celebrate, and appreciate the work of those who came before us and live in the Dorothy Boldens, the Agent Pus, the Rosa Lozanos, and the Aquilina Soriano Versosas in all of us in demanding for the care that America deserves today. The Build Back Better plan affects me tremendously because for the first time, I feel our elected leaders are speaking about the welfare of caregivers and of immigrants. Workers like myself and my beloved mother. The Better Care, Better Jobs Act is an investment of Medicaid that will soon bring peace of mind in having to receive quality home and community-based services and galvanize a strengthened long-term supports and services. Permit me to leave by saying our common good is a magnificent portrait of a morally envisioned America where communities abound in love and care is sufficient. Our common good is joy in living, joy in working, joy in aging in a society working to achieve infinite provisions of dignity and respect for its people. Our common good is reflecting on and celebrating the historic struggles and gains made by workers and labor movements, paying tribute by acknowledging that without labor, nothing prospers. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. My immigrant way of saying thank you very much. Si puede! Si se puede, si se puede, si se puede, si se puede.
Thank you so much, Alan. Thank you. Thank you. Si se puede. Yes, we can. Okay, because I remember I went to La Escuela. Okay, quick announcement. We have a lost cell phone. It's a phone. It's in a black case. It has a dog sticker on it. And it might be in your tote bag, in the National Domestic Workers Alliance tote bag that you have. So please check your bags. If you have a phone that's not yours, please give it back and bring it over here. Thank you so much. All right, so now we have entertainment for you. Please put your hands together for Precision Step Team!
Care is a four-letter word. Until we lay the pieces in, fill it up with the hopes and dreams we hide away for those we love. Familiar faces, arms reached out, hearth and home warmed up by the kinetic energy we pass back and forth on the tail end of a smile. The spell-binding laughter that wraps you up, your double-jointed arms spread out just a few degrees too far, embracing the one you cherish. Care is a gift and a promise. A gift from those before us and a promise to those who follow. It is here between us, in every room across the planet waiting, hoping to be called upon by each of us. Care is love. The love a stranger offers you, if only an homage to our shared humanity. Care is our nourishers, the ones who plucked us up from our darkest days, dusted the scrapes off, healed away the hurt this world can bring. There is more to wanting better than wanting better for yourself. The thing that makes us who we are is how we carry one another, even when there is no other reason than we are here in that same moment on the same planet, and that means something. Care is a call to all mankind to help the earth know her name again. Care is a service to our communities, our environments, service to a future where hope truly is eternal because we worked for it, we advocated and built a way to it, and will make that journey together. Care is a choice that brings forth the better in us over and over again. This is more than words alone can capture, so we capture it together. And so I say to those who nourished me, I hope you smile when you see this. I hope you eat voraciously and love recklessly. I hope you relish every aspect of the magnificent being that is you, and the memories we'll make and the rooms we'll fill with our ambitions, those triumphs to come, the lives we dare to call our own, and our failures too, as we build together a future of our own choosing. I hope you know it means I care for you. I hope you know it means I care. I hope you call on me in the heavy moments too, when your heart is breaking, blood, sweat, tears, and soul up for the taking, when you're downtrodden and aching. I'll be there to pull you away from sadness, to remind you of that gentle calm, of that care, that room we make for one another, that love, that reason to be.
They try to stop me like I'm Black Wall Street. Man, who got the vibe? Who on the rise? Where are them girls working 2 and 3 jobs? I see you getting your check. Get your respect. Get you an accountant so you got something laid. 'Cause I'm a thug. I'm a connect. I put in work. Hard for you. Hard for you. I got it. I'm the connect. Hard for you. I got it. I'm the connect. I got that work. What's wrong?
I'm so worried about Miss Thompson.
Wait, who is she?
She's the home care worker who has been taking care of my disabled grandmother.
Well, what's wrong with her? Is she sick?
I don't know, but I overheard her telling my mom that she's struggling because she doesn't have any benefits, and I just don't think it's fair.
What's not fair?
That Miss Thompson takes great care of my grandmother, but doesn't have benefits to take care of herself.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Don't they know that we should care for those who take care of our loved ones?
We will say it till they hear us.
Care is love.
Care is essential.
Care can't wait.
But you can't allow it, 'cause baby, whether you're high or low, whether you're high or low, you got to chip on the tightrope. Chip on the tightrope. Baby, baby, whether you're high or low, baby, whether you're high or low, you got to chip on the tightrope. Now let me see you do the tightrope. Chip on it, and I'm still living on it.
Domestic workers like me are on the front lines of this crisis, and we need protection. Many of us are putting our own health at risk, working in private homes or facilities, and we need support to keep ourselves and our families safe too. We are essential frontline workers. Lee Plaza, domestic workers. Care can't wait.
Tired of the disrespect for my job. I just want my work to be recognized and appreciated. I'm tired
of the lack of equity in pay. Don't they realize we are the backbone of the economy? I'm tired of not having insurance for paid vacation. They should take care of us simply because we care for their loved ones. We work hard to care for the nation's seniors and people with disabilities. I'm tired.
But you know what? It's the having little to no benefits for me.
It's the lack of appreciation for me.
wanted to see what you would do, but that was like amazing. This is dope. I love it. All right. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for keeping your energy up. Thank you for being here and being committed. So we're going to keep this party on the road. Do you keep parties on the road? Sure. Yes, because this is mobile, because we traveled to be here. So we're going to keep this party going. Thank you so much. I will introduce the next speaker who has worked tirelessly to advance gender equality, particularly for working women. Please give a big round of applause for the president and CEO of Time's Up Now, Tina Chen. Come on, Tina, I see you, boo. Let's go. Woo!
Woo! Oh my God, that was amazing. Like, did you ever think you were going to see a step dance to Care Can't Wait? Woo! So I came from Chicago. I am the president and CEO of Time's Up. You may know me also by my former boss. I was chief of staff down the block a couple here in the White House for Michelle Obama. And we are working now at Time's Up. We combat sexual harassment, but if we don't want workplaces where sexual harassment happens in the first place, we need safe, fair, and equitable work for everyone, for women, for LGBTQIA, for the disabled, for elderly, for people of color. Everyone needs and deserves a safe, fair, and equitable workplace that especially includes all of you caregivers who I honor and respect today. Thank you, caregivers, for everything that you do. Now, look, it's hot. But guess what? We stand on the shoulders of so many others who marched when it was hot, right? They marched in the 1960s right here on the March on Washington. We've marched for equal rights. We've marched for women's rights. We've marched for racial justice. And that's what we're doing today. We are not going to let the heat stop us. Nope. We are not going to let the pandemic stop us. Nope. We are not going to let this economic downturn stop us. No. And we are not going to let the opponents of a caregiving infrastructure investment stop us. Let's be clear. We are at a historic moment, every bit as historic as the March on Washington was. We can transform our economy to work for workers, especially for women, especially for Black, brown, and Asian women who overwhelmingly are paid and unpaid caregivers. So, before I end, I want you to do one thing. Turn around. Turn around and look at that building at the end of Pennsylvania Avenue. Just look at that building. That is the building that we need to make sure listens to us and pays attention to caregiving in this moment. Make sure we are calling and engaging with all of our legislators, that we are talking to them, because we know when they hear your story, they can't deny the truth of how important caregiving is. This is the critical moment. The talks are happening in the Capitol building. Call your member of Congress. Call your friends to call your member of Congress. Tell them you want to tell your story as a caregiver, or as someone who needs care, or as a mom who can't go back to work because she doesn't have care, or a dad. It is time to do it now. This is the moment to transform our country, and it's in your hands. And at Time's Up, we are with you. We are standing with you. We are going to be with you as we make change in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina Chen. Next up, join me in welcoming from the Dominican Development Center, Julieta Hidalgo.
Buenas.
1, 2.
Buenas tardes a todos. ¿Cómo están? Se siente, así mismo es. Se siente, dígalo alto, que estamos juntos acá. Sí mismo. El cuidado es esencial y no debemos esperar.
Care is essential. We can't wait. Care is essential. We can't wait. Care is essential. We can't wait.
Gracias. Muy buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Julieta Hidalgo. Soy trabajadora del cuidado del hogar, madre de 2 bellos niños y soy organizadora. Vivo en Boston, Massachusetts y soy originaria de la República Dominicana.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Julieta Hidalgo. I'm a home care worker, mother of 2 children, and an organizer. I live in Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm originally from the Dominican Republic.
Yo he trabajado como cuidadora del hogar más de 12 años. Apenas cuando empecé tenía 16 años en Santo Domingo, cuidando a una vecina mía que Dios descanse. Y cuando me mudé aquí a Estados Unidos, empecé a trabajar también cuidando a otras personas. Pero hoy me he dedicado a cuidar a mi madre y a mi hijo que nació con síndrome de Down. Ahí yo entendí lo que era lo valioso ser una trabajadora del hogar.
I have worked doing home care since I was 16 years old. That's 12 years now. Started in Santo Domingo, taking care of an elderly neighbor. When I came to the United States, I started working caring for other elders. Today, I take care of my mother and my youngest son, who was born with Down syndrome and requires a lot of support. Doing that work is what made me realize how much love is required to do it.
También he decidido tomar mi tiempo para ayudar a otras personas como trabajadoras como yo, junto con la organización Centro de Desarrollo Dominicano en Boston, Massachusetts. Somos ahora mismo 40 trabajadoras que viajamos desde anoche en un bus para estar aquí presente.
I also spend my time organizing other home care workers like myself with the organization Dominican Development Center. Over 40 of us traveled overnight by bus from Boston to be here today to tell Congress that care is essential and caregivers are essential.
Así es, hay que decirle a los congresistas que el cuidado es esencial y las cuidadoras también somos esenciales. Me encanta mi trabajo, me gusta cuidar mayores y ayudarlos a seguir viviendo una vida digna y prosperidad con independencia. Es una gran responsabilidad y es un trabajo muy difícil, pero también es un trabajo que me da vida y satisfacción. Pero este trabajo muchas veces es invisible y no nos valoran como nos deben.
I like my job, taking care of older people and supporting them to continue living independently and with dignity. It is a lot of responsibility and hard work, but it is also work that gives me life and satisfaction, but this work is often invisible and is not valued the way it should be.
Nosotras que hacemos este trabajo, muchas veces no tenemos seguro médico ni licencias pagadas. Si nosotras necesitamos cuidar nuestra propia salud y nuestros niños, merecemos ganar un sueldo digno que nos permita dar a nuestra familia las necesidades que necesitan en esos momentos. Para este trabajo sea respetado como el trabajo esencial que sabemos que es vital para este país por la economía ahora mismo, necesitamos que el gobernador invierta en nuestra ciudad y en nuestras cuidadoras.
Most of us do not have health insurance or paid leave if we need to take care of our own health or our children. And we deserve to earn a decent wage that allows us to give our own families what they need. For this job to be respected as the essential job that we know it to be, we need the government to invest in care and caregivers.
También en el Centro de Desarrollo Dominicano tenemos muchas miembros que hacen este trabajo muy posible, pero no tienen un estatus migratorio permanente. Esto la hace aún más vulnerable al maltrato y al abuso y a la explotación del trabajo. Si realmente queremos reconocer que las trabajadoras somos esenciales, como las trabajadoras del cuidado, que sostuvieron este país durante esta pandemia. Ellas también necesitan una ciudadanía ahora mismo, ya. Esto va a ser clave para la recuperación de este país.
At the Dominican Development Center, we have many members who do this work who do not have permanent immigration status. This makes them even more vulnerable to abuse and exploitation at work. If we really want to recognize the essential workers, like care workers, who sustained this country during the pandemic, they need a path to citizenship now. This is essential for a fair recovery in this country.
Ahora me da un gusto presentarle y darle una buena especial bienvenida. Antes era mi alcalde de la ciudad de Boston, representante estatal en Massachusetts, donde fue campeón de los derechos de las trabajadoras del hogar y ahora es secretario de Trabajo de los Estados Unidos, encabezando el Departamento de Trabajo para nuestros derechos como trabajadoras sean respetados y reconocidos. Por favor, denle un gran aplauso al secretario de Departamento de Labor, Marty Walsh.
Now, I'm very pleased to introduce you the following speaker. He was previously my mayor in the city of Boston, state legislator of Massachusetts, where he was a champion for domestic worker rights. And now he's the Secretary of Labor of the United States. Thank you, and help us welcome Secretary Marty Walsh.
Come on, Boston, you can do better than that. Thank you, Julieta. You were amazing. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for all the workers that are here today. It's such an honor for me to be here. I want to give a shout out to Tina. Time's up. You were great. To all my peeps from Boston, welcome to D.C. Thank you. It's great to see you here today. And I love seeing all the workers here today. I want to thank the home care workers, the child care workers, the nursing home workers. I want to thank you for the work that you've done, in particular the last 16 months during COVID-19. You went to work every day. You didn't complain. You took care of our kids. You took care of our parents. You took care of our grandparents. So let's give everyone a round of applause here for the great work that they've done. I also want to give a shout out to SEIU. In the labor movement. I know that SEIU is here in the house in a big way. Thank you, Purple Shirts, and everyone from SEIU. IGEN Prove, the National Domestic Workers Alliance, thank you for all your great work. Paulo Mendoza and the Communities Care Project, thank you. And to everyone who believes care can't wait, I want to thank you for being here. This issue is certainly simple in my view. As a former mayor of Boston, as a former state representative in Dorchester, as a former head of the Boston Building Trades, we understand that this work, the care economy and care work, stands up the rest of our economy. It's essential to the infrastructure for our lives, and the pandemic, as I said, that has proved that beyond a doubt. And not just as a policy statement, it's a personal statement for me. We all need care, and we all depend on care workers. As Labor Secretary, I've traveled all across this country, listening to workers in every industry, talking about their need for child care, elder care, and disability care. I make sure wherever I go, I listen to the workers because you are the workers that are important to me. I listen to Juliet and other people here today. I sometimes think about my mother, who did this work. My mother came to this country in the late 1950s from Ireland. She was 17 years old. She came alone. English was not her first language. In many ways, she was very vulnerable. She had skills, but most important skills in the world she brought from home with her. So what did she do? My mother became a domestic worker here in America. She cleaned houses and cooked, and she took care of children for people in different parts of the greater Boston area. And she couldn't earn a middle-class living doing that work. But she was able to understand, she knew the importance of hard work because she came here. Like many of you, she came here to work to send the money back home to her family at home, so to support the family back home. My mother still talks about that to this day. My family was able to join the middle class because my father, who also immigrated to this country in 1956, had the opportunity to become a laborer. He had the opportunity to join a union. And that union was able to put food on our table. That union was able to support their pension and give them health care and support their opportunity for fair working conditions and safe job sites. In the beginning, it wasn't like that. And that made a difference. 60 years later, in the United States of America, it's time to do better for all of our workers. I just want to talk a minute about President Biden and Vice President Harris' administration and what I believe in and what they believe in. Every single worker in the United States of America deserves a living wage and the right to join a union if they choose. But today, as you know, 1 in 6 of our care workers live in poverty, despite working full-time. Some of you here in this plaza today fall in that category. You are disproportionately women of color and immigrants that come to this country that work in this space. You are often exploited because of the vulnerabilities that you experience. But as I look out at all of you, one thing I know, care workers are not powerless because you show up at rallies, you let your voices heard, you call members of Congress, you call mayors, you call city councilors, you call state legislators, and you let them know that you're there. You're there because you want to make sure not just your life gets better, but the people that you're advocating for life gets better. Together, you have changed the conversation in this country. And it was said a minute ago by Tina, I think Tina talked about it, or one of the speakers before I got up here. No, actually, it was before when I was driving up here. This president, President Biden, and this Vice President Harris has listened to workers for the last 20 years because their agenda shows the importance that they value workers. President Biden and Vice President Harris and the entire cabinet, the federal government, are here to hear you and to stand with you. CARE is about the heart and soul of the president's Build Back Better agenda. The plan calls for an investment of $400 billion to make high-quality care for our elderly relatives, family members with disabilities, affordable and accessible, whether it's at home in a community. We've never seen that type of proposal and that type of investment go into our cares economy in the history of our country. Just as important, the president wants to be clear. He wants to raise your wages. He wants to make sure you have the rights that are protected. He wants to appreciate the work that you do and the care that you give to people. Build Back Better agenda also invests affordable, high quality in child care for every single American. Something that we need to do. We need to make sure that we don't leave our kids behind. We're going to provide subsidies for tax credits for families. We're going to build new upgraded child care facilities. We're going to make sure that our workplaces, our community colleges, and community centers are the best and that we have access to those. We're going to make sure public school starts at the age of 3 years old when it should, with universal pre-kindergarten to get our kids an early start. We're going to work to increase wages, training, career opportunities, child care professionals, educators, and essential workers. I say all this because I've never quite had a chance to be at a podium before to talk about all these incredible investments that we want to make, and we're on the verge of making them all happen. This is not a political speech. This is reality. The reality that we have right now to change the course of America and change the course of American workers for the next generation and the next 50 years. We have that opportunity. We wouldn't have that opportunity without all of you advocating and being here today. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for allowing us to depend on your care. I want to thank you for fighting. I want to thank you for standing up. I want to thank you for marching. I want to thank you for protesting. I want to thank you for loving. I want to thank you for all the things you do. And lastly, I want to give a special shout out to everyone from the city of Boston who came to D.C. today to take this town over. Thank you very much.
Yeah, one more time for the Secretary of Labor. Boston is in the building. Okay. Boston and Dominican, que lo que? Thank you all for coming out. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your love. Thank you for caring. Thank you for standing out here in the heat and staying hydrated. We know it's not easy. With that being said, we are going to introduce the choir, and we're going to, hey, pongan atención. Yes, we're gonna have the choir lead us in a procession after they're done singing. So when they're done, we're all gonna follow them in an orderly fashion towards the installation all the way in the back, okay? And without further ado, I will introduce the Bolton, no, that's not it. That's not it at all. That was the wrong words. I just want to make sure y'all were listening, okay? You were listening. You got me, sis. Okay. Let's wait 1 second because we want to make sure everybody's paying attention. There's photos. And I'm also available for photos in case somebody wanted. Okay. Boston is out of control, guys. Boston! Brooklyn! No, just me? Okay, cool. Okay. All right. Now that we have everyone's attention, let's introduce and make a big round of applause for the Baltimore Urban Inspirational Choir. Whoop, whoop. Let them hear it. Come on, coordination. Come on, choir. Bring it through in the nudes. Come on with the coordination. Come on, black people. Beautiful. Come on. Here we are. I'm going to sing with the choir, y'all. Here we are. They said if you want to be somebody, if you want to go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention. Hey, want to be somebody, if you want to go somewhere, you got to wake up and pay attention. Give it up for the choir, y'all.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain. We all have sorrows. Oh, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend, and I'll help you to carry on. Oh, it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Just look up, look up, look up. Just look I got you. Ho, ho. Look to the hills, from whence cometh your help? Where does your help come from? It comes from the Lord. Just look, just look. Just look, just look. Hey.
H-E-A-D, U-P, and never G-I-V-E, U-P, keep your H-E-A-D.